Hi everyone and welcome to another video from Despair Repair. In this video I'm gonna tell you another car story about a certain experience I had while I was a car technician. So this is a bit different from all repair videos, maintenance videos, driving videos and else. It is just a simple story that I hope you will find interesting. But in that story there is of course a lesson that you might find useful when working around the car. So stay tuned.
DespairRepair.com. Be sure to visit us at our website DespairRepair.com, where you can find more useful car and driving tips.
So, dear viewers, the whole story starts some 27 years ago, believe it or not, and my goodness, how the time flies, it's unbelievable. 27 years ago, I was just starting to be an independent car technician. I was not a mechanic. In my country, there is a division between a mechanic, between an electrician, between a painter, body painter, and so on. In English, the universal name for all of that is a car technician, but my major, so to say, was car electrics, and I worked in such a shop. The main thing we did was repair car electrics and later electronics to some extent. I worked in a shop that had lots of work, lots of business, and it was simply a gold mine for learning the trade. Lots of different cars, lots of different manufacturers, lots of different problems. There were lots of different situations with people, with customers, and everything else. All in all, if you wanted to learn the trade, it was a perfect place. The only pity was, in my case, that it all happened during a difficult time in my life. But more on that and the specifics of that time in another video. I think it will also be an interesting story. Anyway, one of the things that we did when we repaired cars, if the battery was flat, then we would take out the battery of the car. Since we had, two cars always in the bays, we had 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, sometimes 10 cars waiting on the parking lots. When there were flat batteries, then we would take out those batteries, charge them overnight so they were ready to put back in the car tomorrow morning so we could start diagnosing problems, fixing problems, and so on. Anyway, on one bay was and older viewers, especially from Great Britain, will know this, there was a Ford Sierra, not a very pretty car, but a very popular car at that time. And the Sierra, I think, had a alternator or a starter problem. I can't really remember. I think it was the alternator. I got the task to work on the Sierra. I was supposed to take the alternator off, see what's happening, but before that, do a diagnosis. To do the diagnosis, I had to take the battery, install it. For that, we had always a drill, and I mentioned this in one of my previous videos. This is where that advice origins from. I always took the battery off of the charger, didn't close the lids on it, wait for at least half an hour for the battery to cool down, and then I would install it onto the car, put the lids back on and put it back onto the car. And I did this dozens of times without any problems. And what happened this time is that put the battery into the bay, and on the Sierra, if any of you have driven that car, I think the battery bay was located here on this part. So what happened is I took the battery, put it into the bay, put the plus clamp on, and I was going to put the minus clamp on, but something was left on in the car. I think the owner left either the contact on or some bigger appliance, which caused a big spark. And as I put the minus clamp on, the battery exploded, man. Totally, completely, And you don't have to believe me on this one. The battery disappeared. It vaporized, There was nothing left from it inside the bay. You would expect acid all over the place. You would expect plastic. It was nowhere to be seen. Essentially, the battery blew up in my face. When I put the minus clamp, there was the spark, and the spark initiated the explosion. The explosion was, if you've ever fired a rifle or a pistol or thrown a bigger firecracker, it's that intensity, It is like BAM! I was very lucky. God saved me that day. First of all, none of the acid and the shrapnel from the plastic casing got on me and hit me on the face. My face was this near from the battery. I got a couple of drops of acid on my overalls. That was it. But what was more interesting is that I only found a couple of pieces of the plastic casing and a couple of pieces of the lead cells in the battery bay and around it. That's it. But later I found the other pieces all over the workshop, in a radius of a couple of meters. What happened to the acid, I don't know. It's just like it evaporated all over the place. I was also lucky that no acid fell onto the engine, onto the hood, onto the car body, and it didn't cause any damage. So all in all, again, God was looking at me that morning and really saved me from trouble. So the end picture of it all was that I was standing with the minus clamp in my hand and I wasn't moving anywhere, I was stunned. At that moment arrives the boss of the workshop, who ran from outside since the detonation was loud and he heard it. He ran to the car to see if I was okay. And, he was yelling, "Oh my God, are you okay? What happened? Were you fine?" and everything else. And when he saw, since this guy was a father figure to all of us and very good person, he taught us most of the secrets of the trade, and he went through a lot regarding car repair. The moment he saw the empty bay and I was holding the minus clamp and he sensed the sulfur smell in the air, he concluded what happened and started to laugh his ass off. At the same moment, the other co-workers arrived. They start to laugh too, and then after that I start laughing, of course, because it is funny, to be honest. It's like something from a good cartoon. So that's the whole story. Even to this day, I remember it for two main reasons. One is I thank God that he saved me from any kind of serious injury, and the other thing is how funny it was at the end and how we all had a good laugh. Good memories. Bad event, but good memories. The lesson is that when working around cars, always be prepared for trouble. I did the same procedure for replacing the battery on that Sierra as I did on dozens of other cars. And on other cars there was the spark. I left the battery to cool down. I did everything as it should be, and those batteries did not blow up. That one did. The best thing you can do is to take safety precautions when working around the car. Have some knowledge around cars and what may happen, and you may, well, if not prevent trouble, then you may seriously reduce the possibility. So, dear viewers, that's it for this time. I hope, above all, that at least I managed to make you laugh a bit, that things don't always have to be that serious in these videos. Please like and subscribe. As I always say, it's a huge help for the channel. Also, if you find the time, watch our other videos where you have car maintenance, driving, and car-related topics that I hope will help in keeping your car in good shape, learning a thing or two about cars. Thanks for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next video.